Would like to call the meeting for Planning Commission special meeting for Tuesday, June the 13th, 2023 in order. We'll have a roll call, please.
Abe Gassenpour,
Here.
Brent Linford,
Yes.
Aaron Rooney,
Here.
and Shelby Vreeland absent, but we do have a quorum.
Good. I would like to ask at this time, if the public has any comment non-related to what is in agenda. Guess not. Number 3 is we have approval of previous minutes from May 11th and 2023, a regular meeting.
And you were all there, so you can all,
I will make a motion.
all right. Motion by Rooney,
I'll second.
second by Linford. Brent Linford,
Yep.
Aaron Rooney,
Yes, sir.
and Abe Gassenpour.
Yes.
All right, 3-0 pass.
Item number 4, which is a PC application number 23-006. Discussion and possible action on a request for a special use permit and exception for Article 5, Section 6, subsection of 65L4 of the City of Guthrie zoning code main, which is the main corridor of Midtown Overlay District design standards to allow for a metal accessory building for a property located at 818 Walnut Creek Road. And have the staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you indicated, this is a special use permit. Our code currently has areas within the community where you're not allowed to have a metal accessory structure. It has to be a material other than metal. As was indicated, the main corridor in Midtown overlay is part of it, and then we also have our historic district and overlay district. There is an ability through that code to get an exception to those standards, and so the applicant is here to obviously look to get an exception to that, to have a metal accessory structure. The property is located on North Walnut. It's a 2.37 acre parcel. It's completely surrounded by trees. As you can see on the location map, basically the area that doesn't have trees is where he has his house, and then basically behind the house is where the shed will be. So when staff was looking at this, the tree canopy, if you want to say, was obviously apparent, and given the size of the property and the amount of trees around it, the visibility is not there, for any adjacent property. Even on the street, you can't see the existing house. You won't see the accessory structure. And again, even the adjacent properties are not that many, because in that area, it's a little node of large lot properties. To the very east, there's the subdivision that has some properties, but the subject property and some to the north and south are just little enclave of large properties. So when looking at it, staff did not feel that a accessory metal structure would have a negative impact to the neighborhood. I'd like to mention, I don't think it would be setting a precedent, given the lot size, again, the amount of trees for coverage and that. I think even if the special use permit would be approved, it wouldn't necessarily open up the door for anybody to come in and ask for that. There are things specific to this property that aren't in that area or typical of that area. So with that being said, staff had recommended that the special use permit be approved to allow for a metal accessory structure. The owner is here, and applicant is here if you have any questions. I did want to mention that there was one letter of objection in there, basically a 2-line saying they didn't want metal accessory structures. That was the only correspondence I received, either by mail, email, or phone. So with that, I'll put it back to the commission.
Any discussion?
Mr.
Mr. Lenz, could I have you have stand podium, please? Dude, do yourself your name and
My name is Lloyd Lentz. I go by Chase.
you have said in there that you want to use this as a hobby.
Yeah, strictly for hobby use, not commercial in the slightest.
Well, could you explain your hobby or somehow your hobby would not cause any kind of trouble for the neighborhood though?
I sure hope not. It's mainly antique cars and antique motorcycles. I do a little bit of hobby metalworking on the side, but like I say, strictly hobby use only.
So it would not create any kind of traffic or noise or hazardous to the neighborhood?
No, and I would also like to add that I'm gonna, if I'm allowed to do this, would do it in such a way where I don't have to see as much of this building from my own house as I possibly can. So I certainly don't want anyone else to have to see it as well.
Mr. Chair, if I could add, I think it'll hopefully help a little bit. All the other requirements have basically been met. In other words, the allowance for it, the size, the location, all of those meet the code requirements. The only thing it did not meet code on was the exterior material, but I left that out, but I should point out that it meets all the other requirements. So if he were to have a non-metal, we wouldn't be here today, obviously. He could just go through the building
Right.
permit process and get
But that
his
also
accessory
is gonna be
structure.
done professionally built?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
going through, get a building permit, the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
Remind me again, what's the max allowed structure height?
Structure height is 15 feet. He's in an area because he's in over an acre. There is no limitation on size. It just has to be within basic reason of what would be on a property like that, or we've seen in other areas, which he has. But 15 feet is the maximum height right now.
Do you have any idea how tall you're gonna go?
I hadn't got that far yet because I was trying to navigate this whole process first. But whatever is well within what is permissible.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about seeing it from the road above the trees, which I don't think you'll see 15 feet, so.
Right, because
No.
the house is, it's a tall one-story, I would call it, right?
Yeah, it's a one-story.
Yeah, and like I said, you can't even see the house right now from the street. And I even have old photos of when it's like in the fall and there's no leaves, it's still because of the density of the trees, it's hard to see a house from the street,
Sure.
yeah.
And then I can't tell, is there a creek running through the back?
Yeah, Bird Creek to the north, yeah,
Yeah,
So that's,
yeah.
drainage has been on my mind a lot.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. That's just
yeah.
been
The creek is more to the north.
North of it,
Yeah, it's just kind of a heavy treed area.
I'm misoriented here, where's
Yeah.
the north?
Right in the north of the walnut.
Yeah.
This is where, this is right in here, is the creek, right in here. I have a question. So this is,
Hold on,
you know, this walnut.
Oh, this one is better.
Right.
We'll open it up and then. Yeah.
Yeah, the creek goes along with that. I think
Okay, well, there's one.
greenhouses are, yeah.
Yeah, because there's a bridge that's a little bit down the street from here, not very far, where the actual creek goes.
Okay, so Walnut. So the structure's south of your house?
North.
It's
North.
north, okay, there we go. Now,
But the
there, I was
property,
upside down
yeah,
and backwards.
right.
Yeah.
The property's up on a hill, so it's actually not even in the flood zone in that area. The flood zone goes more to the north.
Okay.
Any discussion or any other question? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh,
I think,
Further comments?
Mr. Chair, I think there was a gentleman that had a question.
Do you have, yes, sir.
If you
If you
could come
could-
to the microphone.
Could you
Thank
come to the
you.
microphone, please?
Yep. That way we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
My name is Jim Overton. I'm a neighbor about 100 yards south of him. And my question is, what does the special use permit allow to be done to that building or for use? And I'm not worried about him, but if he's hit by a bus tomorrow and somebody else buys that property, what can they do with it?
I don't think it's.
Yeah, you
transferable.
want to say the answer to that is kind of how I went back. The special use is simply for a design consideration. The uses would fall within the zoning, which is residential, so it would have to be remaining as any use for accessory to residential. So again, as his hobby, storage, that type of thing. It could not be commercial in any manner whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, the special use is just for the design consideration, not for any special uses that would be allowed beyond the current code.
I assume you're gonna have power run out there and,
I've got power there already
Oh,
to
okay.
the house, and that's a good question. I hadn't quite made it that far, because this was all up in the air as to whether or not I was gonna be able to do this. And one of the reasons I wanted to do a metal building was the durability of it, you know? So, yeah, it will be powered, and plumbed as well.
Any other discussion?
Where does Walnut Creek Road end?
It's just a
It's a
driveway.
little
Yeah.
private road, yeah.
Yeah,
just little
it's a
private
private road to that and the
thing.
resident
This
to
is
the
it.
south,
See,
right?
This is,
Right.
Yeah,
this is Walnut,
yeah,
and it just comes out of here, and this is it.
So that's it right there.
Right.
Yeah.
This is it. There's a house, one in here, and there's a house, he lives right in here, and then he lives right
Yep.
in here, so there's only three houses.
yeah,
That's a nice little setup.
yeah, and it's a private road, it's not a public
Restaurant
road.
goes to the park.
Yeah, the driveway ends almost exactly where the D for road is.
Oh, okay. Cool. I'm good.
Any other discussion? Waiting for a motion. Any-
I'll motion to approve it.
I will second.
All right, motion by Linford, second by Rooney. Brent Linford,
Yes?
Aaron Rooney,
Yes.
and Abe Gassenport.
Yes,
All right, passes 3-0.
congratulations.
So what would be the modus of operation if, say, he sold it and somebody were to try to convert that into a living space or,
Currently, by code, it could not.
yeah, but it's also hidden, so.
Well, I mean, at some point, we would probably realize it, but yeah, I mean, if found out, then we would tell them it could not happen. Yeah.
It's zone residential.
That's correct.
Yeah, R1.
Yep.
Staff comments? Any comments?
Yeah, no staff comments tonight, other than thank you for making the special meeting so we can
Any
help the
comments,
applicant along.
commissioners? We are adjourned.